Hi, this is Kathy from Gadget Stop 321, and in today's video, I've got a new fountain pen. It's a Pilot Custom 74. I'm not sure what the Pilot 100 means, but it's a brown or an amber colored, maybe brown and amber, Custom 74. I think this is part of a set that includes this fountain pen and a number of ballpoints and gel pens and maybe highlighters, different Pilot pens. And I think this is a set of pens maybe that go out to Pilot shareholders. I'm not sure, but I found this on eBay. There are a number of them on eBay, and I noticed they're only available in Japan. And I think I'd heard something about that this was part of the shareholders. I'm not sure what you even call it, gift set or something like that. But it just comes in a paper box, and well, there is something else underneath. Oh, it did come with one cartridge. I'm not going to put the cartridge in it. I'll put that in with all my other cartridges. And your normal use and care guide. Yeah, that's looks like a Con 70 right there. Then they've got a diagram for the piston style converters and for cartridges and the squeeze converters. So this is just a one size fits all use and care guide. This box is all paper, which I think is kind of nice. I tried to use Google Translate, and it was able to translate some of the stuff. I don't think this has anything to do with fountain pens. I think this is something about conservation. Maybe this is a recycled paper box. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I wasn't able to translate much of this at all. It didn't really tell me that much, but if you know anything about this pen, let me know. It didn't come with a converter. I didn't realize that it came with this cartridge, but I don't want to ink this up with a black ink. I always enjoy using Colorverse Dark Energy in these Pilot fine nibs. That's what I got on here. A number 5 size fine nib. I've had a Custom 74 with a fine nib in the past. I had the clear demonstrator, but I ended up selling it when I got my Custom Heritage 92. Let me get the 92. It's been a little over a year that I've had the Custom Heritage 92, and I just like cartridge converter pens. They're so easy to clean out, but I found a good deal on this one, and I bit the bullet and got it, and ended up really liking it because it posts so deeply, and I just like the overall size and balance of it. It's got the same size nib, and the section's very similar in size when you're writing with it. Even though I don't post my pens that often anymore, I just like being able to, if I'm out and about and don't want to have to two-handed use my pen, being able to post it is nice, an easy way to keep up with the cap. So I ended up really enjoying the Custom Heritage 92, and I sold my clear demonstrator Custom 74. One thing I don't like about the piston fillers is just how difficult it is to clean them. And maybe not necessarily difficult, but just it is hard to get every last little bit. There's a little bit of purple, or it might be dark energy. I may have had dark energy the last ink I had in this. But when I saw this brown Custom 74, one thing I like about brown pens, you can use any color ink in them and it just looks great. And I can use my dark energy in here, and if the Con 70 gets a little stained up, it's not so obvious. So I also ordered a Con 70 to go with it from Amazon, and they ship almost everything in envelopes, and when it got here it was cracked. So they're sending me a replacement, but I just couldn't wait anymore. I'm just going to dip test this. And it looks like, you know how the other Custom 74s, the section and the finials are always that smoky color. So there's a little bit of contrast. It looks like the finials and the cap are like a darker brown, and the body of the pen, the barrel, is a lighter brown. Let me see. Let me grab my notebook that I'm going to do a writing sample in. And it might just be the thickness of the plastic making these look darker, but it has a little bit of a two-tone look to it. One thing I noticed when I got my first Custom 74 is without the converter in, it is really light, and I remember being shocked at how light it was, and I thought it felt kind of cheap. But once I got the converter in it and got it full of ink, it's got a nice weight to it. This one has gold hardware. I don't know if there are any Custom 74s available, maybe in Japan, new ones that have gold hardware, but most of the ones you see have the silver colored hardware. But when I got this out of the box and was kind of looking at it, playing around with it, I noticed that it posts pretty deeply. My previous Custom 74, the little ring here is kind of what the cap posted onto. It posted about this deeply. But it posts noticeably deeper. It's a little bit longer than the Heritage 92. So this is how this one sits in my hand, and I can feel the center of gravity. The center of mass is just right there. That feels really nice. But once you have it inked up, it moves that center of gravity down a little bit, which makes it feel even nicer. This one with no converter and no ink in it feels like the center's right up here. So the converter and the ink will move it down a little bit. That'll be nice. This is such a pretty pen. Let me just dip it in some ink and see how it writes. I've been dying to try this. Whenever I'm dip testing pens, I dip it in the ink a number of times, and sometimes you can actually see it sucking the ink up into the nib slit. This is a pretty saturated ink, so it looks like it's really coating the nib. I think I'm going to take a tissue and wipe some of that off. Characteristic dry upstrokes. Depending on what ink you're using, that can give your writing some nice character. You can maybe see from the loop-de-loops here, or it can make writing feel a little unpleasant. This feels really nice, but I have noticed with other Pilot 14 karat fine nibs, this one in particular, that this dark energy, I've got one of those big A4 pads of Midori paper, and those dry upstrokes just make it feel too dry. So I need to do some more tests with that Midori paper. Now, the fine nib on my vanishing point doesn't have that dry upstroke. It writes the same in all directions. It still has that same feel, just a hint of bounce to it, but the upstroke is not dry like it is on these number 5 size nibs. Now, since this is just dipped in ink, I might start running dry here soon. So let me try reverse. I'll have to do some more tests with reverse writing. It's not scratchy, but the ink is running dry. But that could just be because it's dipped. But it feels nice enough. Yeah, this is going to be nice. This ink, this dark energy, is so saturated that it comes across, this is going to sound gross, I guess. It's kind of the color of dried blood. It's kind of a brownish red. I like to think of it, instead of thinking of it like that, whenever I'm writing with it, I do a lot of note taking with this ink. And I've mentioned this before. I kind of think of Leonardo da Vinci's notebooks. Like if you looked at this right beside a picture of his notebooks, it might look completely different. But just in my mind, that's what I tell myself. I feel like when I'm taking notes, I'm Leonardo da Vinci writing important stuff. But it's a really saturated ink. So when you're cleaning your pen out, it's nice if it's a cartridge converter and you can get a syringe to really flush that stuff out. And then since you're using a syringe and you're really shooting a lot of water up in there, I don't know if this really would affect it, but like your converter, you might need to lubricate it more often with that liquid silicone grease. Because I do know even my syringes, I have to lubricate them with silicone grease from time to time. And since I've sold my TWSBI, I don't have my bottle of silicone grease. I'm either going to have to ask my sister to borrow some of hers or get some more from somewhere. But this is nice. This is a nice writing experience. I'm looking forward to getting my converter so I can get this pen inked up. I'm still writing with the Leonardo Memento Zero with the Tokyo Uematsu, and I haven't been doing as much long form journaling. It's been mostly just writing in my some lines a day, and I haven't seen as much skipping, or I haven't, maybe just because I'm writing so little, it doesn't give it time to whatever's happening, and then I cap it back and that the feed gets resaturated before I write again. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, but I'll get a little bit more writing done with that before the converter comes in for this pen. This is just beautiful. I don't think this is the same color as the Custom 823. Is it maybe a little more yellow? Because it's amber colored. Just from memory, I haven't looked at, pictures of this side by side with the 823. But it gives more premium vibes. Maybe because I'm thinking of the 823. I'm excited about this. I'm really excited that it posts a little more deeper. Is that the way? Has Pilot maybe tweaked the design of the Custom 74? Do they all post deeper like this? I need to check the Goulet website, look at the Pen Plaza, and see if maybe it was just mine that didn't post as deep as it was supposed to. I don't know. I'll do a currently inked video when I do get this set up and after I've written with it for a little bit, so if I have any other observations. I'm excited. Oh, one thing I need to mention, I haven't been able to find a whole lot of information about this. I already mentioned that, but all the listings that I see for this are calling it limited edition. Like, I don't know if Pilot has any intention of selling this colorway on a more regular basis, but there are some on eBay, and they're at a pretty reasonable price. I got a pretty good deal on this, less than what the retail price, like the actual price that retailers are selling them for. I got this for less than that. So if this is something you might be interested in, check out eBay. All right, if you found this video helpful, please give me a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel. I just wanted to add a little PS here at the end. Almost all of the writing samples that I do when I'm testing inks are done with pens that have been just dipped in the ink. And I just wanted to show how much writing I did with this pen after it just being dipped in the ink once. Now, I say once. I dipped it several times before I started writing, but after I started writing, I didn't dip it in the ink anymore. And I've had a lot of people say over the years, I don't think you can get a true idea of how the ink performs with just a dip test. And I guess there's some characteristics of the ink that you can't get a good idea of, like how it behaves in the converter. Does it get stuck back in the back of the converter? But how it feels writing nib on paper, absolutely. In my experience, that's what it's going to feel like when you ink it up in the converter or in the vacuum filler or piston filler or whatever. And you can see how much writing I did. I was going to try to write the feed dry before I take this downstairs and clean it out, and I ran out of paper before I ran out of ink. So if you don't want to ink up an entire pen, ink up an entire converter, you just want to test an ink, you can absolutely just dip the nib in the ink and see how it feels on the paper.